we're going to be reviewing Santiago's mechanics. Now, most coaches will go through mechanical video and they'll say, all right, Santiago's getting really pushy with his back leg, his hips and shoulders are rotating at the same time, his lead leg block isn't very good, his arm action is a little bit too pushy, and that's great, but what it doesn't do is it doesn't identify the root causes of these things. So one thing I do really like about Santiago's delivery, starting with the positives, is at foot plant, his arm is flipped up on time, and it's also at about 90 degrees, the forearm relative to the humerus. I also think Santiago does a good job with his glove side anchoring here. You can see that once it gets out here, it pretty much stays right there and anchors, and he's using that glove as a pivot to rotate against instead of a driver of the rotation. So as a coach, you want to play into a player's strengths. So as you're developing a player, what do they do best first before you start picking apart all the negatives? So now to the actual flaws in Santiago's delivery. We can see that he's getting a little bit into his quad. His knee is caving this way a little bit. It's not terrible, but it is caving that way a little bit, and he's a little bit quad dominant, partly because his body is dumping this way and his pelvis is getting into anterior tilt early. He's also getting very pushy off the rubber. As you can see, his back leg is pretty much fully extended at this stage. And then, of course, the most obvious mechanical adjustment that most coaches would pick out is that his hips and torso are rotating at the same time. And really what I like to look at is how is the elbow moving in relation to this back hip. So if the elbow and back hip are moving simultaneously together, that's what I look for, rather than most coaches will look at the shoulder or the pec. I think if he got a little bit more open at landing in his hips, he would see a lot of benefit there. But when you're fixing mechanics, really what's going to come down to is what you do outside of throwing. Sure, you can do a lot of different drills and isolate some different mechanics, but the most gains are going to come from identifying where the root cause of the issue is. For Santiago, that's going to be a mobility issue in the thoracic spine. That's going to be a strength issue in his hips, glutes, hamstrings. If you want to get a better lead leg block, really what's going to be more important than actually trying to do a drill to train to get to a lead leg block is to strengthen the muscles in your leg to allow yourself to take on force to produce a good lead leg block. Because if your body is incapable of actually blocking with that front leg, it's not strong enough, can't redirect that force from the ground, then it's not going to be able to block properly. So really it boils down to having a program designed around fixing his lower half strength, power, and stability issues. One mechanical change that I think Santiago can actually fix by throwing is this elevated distal humerus here. As you can see, the angle of his humerus is above 90 degrees relative to the angle of his torso. And really we want that to be at 90 degrees or even slightly below 90 degrees. An elevated distal humerus basically means that your scap is upwardly rotating at the wrong time. We want that upward rotation to happen late in delivery as we start rotating. And we want to start with our scap downwardly rotated and then go upwardly rotated. If we separate and we start there, it gets really difficult to get into a properly timed external rotation. But yeah, overall, Santiago has very decent mechanics for his age, and throwing 70 miles an hour is very good with these mechanics. It shows that he has a lot of potential to grow with the right training and mobility program. If you want to be featured in one of these videos and have a mechanical analysis done on yourself, there's a 3-step process to claim. First, go to the link in my bio and claim your free 1-week mobility program. Step 2, at the end of that funnel, you'll see a text now button. Press that and text me right away. And then step 3, log into your client portal and fill out the full intake form. If you qualify, you can get a free mechanical analysis by me, which will be posted to all my social media.